Alright, guys, we got a nice little surprise to talk about here today. Which I wanted to make this video sooner, but I've just been busy as fuck and haven't had time to fool with it. But a few days ago, we had a Nintendo Direct, which showed quite a bit of good stuff, but most of it I didn't really have a lot to say about it. Except for one thing in particular, which caught me by surprise, at least. During this Direct, Level 5 announced that we are getting a new Fantasy Life game. Which, this is kind of coincidence for me, because I actually just finished playing the first Fantasy Life game, like last month, I think. Which, I've been playing a lot of stuff on my 3DS, trying to, work my way through some stuff to get some DLC for certain things before the eShop closes at the end of next month. And that was one of the games I've had sitting in my backlog forever, and I just never got around to it. So, I finally dove into it, and I played all the way through the game. I played all the way through the Origin Island DLC, which is quite good, by the way. If anyone has this game and you haven't picked up the DLC yet, I do recommend getting it before the eShop closes. It's only like $8, and it actually adds a pretty significant amount of content to the game. It adds a whole new area to explore, new story, new quests, new enemies, new items, new everything. So, for its value, I think it's quite good. But anyway, that aside, I played all the way through that game, and I wound up actually enjoying it quite a bit. One of the ways I tend to describe it, I actually draw a comparison to Pokemon, of all things, since Pokemon is kind of like a baby's first turn-based RPG. I kind of think of Fantasy Life as like a baby's first action RPG, which I actually mean that in a good way. It might sound bad. I mean it in a good way, because Fantasy Life, like with Pokemon, it's a really simple game where, like, someone like a kid or someone who just has no experience with the genre, they could pick up this game and get into it and not have any problems. But for people who want more out of it, or, are just more into games like this, there's just enough depth there for you to really dive into it and kind of get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So it winds up being appealing to a more wider range of players. And I think they did a good job of, sort of hitting that sweet spot where it's accessible to kids and newer people, but still has enough meat on its bones for more hardcore players to get something out of it. So I wound up really liking it. Now, it did get a sequel, if you can call it that, a few years ago, I think, but it was some mobile trash, online only, gotcha, horseshit title, and that doesn't count. I'm not counting that. This game that they've announced here is actually a proper sequel for the game. It's coming to Switch sometime this year, I think. I think they just said 2023 as far as release date. But this new game is called Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. And they showed a brief teaser trailer for it, which it didn't show much. It was only like a little over a minute long, I think. I'll put a link in the description to this trailer if you want to check it out for yourself. But based on the little bit of info we got, in this game, apparently we're going to be on some kind of island. I don't know if it's Origin Island or not. Some structures kind of look a little similar, but I feel like this might be a different island. But anyway, you're on this island, and you meet some girl who, like, sends you back 1,000 years into the past or something like that. And you can time travel back and forth between the past and the present. And they showed you had like some kind of like robot looking helper golem dude. And they showed him actually terraforming the island. So it sounds like there's going to be a lot more customization in this one. Like in the first one, you could get player houses and you could decorate your house and stuff. But it sounds like this one you're going to have the ability, rather, to like customize the entire landscape and everything of this island, which seems pretty interesting. it's causing a lot of people to draw comparisons to Animal Crossing New Horizons because of this. But that seems to be one of the big new focuses for this game, is like rebuilding this island any way you want it. Maybe that's what the I in the title is for. We don't know what that stands for. Maybe it stands for island. I have no idea. My one concern is I hope that the entire game isn't set on this one island. I hope you can actually leave the island and go other places. Because the map in the first game was actually a pretty good size and had a lot of varying different locations you could go to. So hopefully we get something similar here. Another thing they showed, they did show brief glimpses of a few returning characters from the first game. We saw Odin, we saw Isaac there for a second. They showed a scene where you were fighting the Nap Dragon along with the Dragon Slayer. And they showed Princess Laura a few times as well, with her design from the mobile game, actually. So, it seems like it is going to be related to the first game story-wise. Or at least have a few of the characters showing back up. Which, the first game, the characters were all really charming. I love the writing and the dialogue and just the character moments from the first game. All that was fantastic. The plot itself was a little weak, especially the ending. I thought the ending was kind of nonsensical, but and very anticlimactic. But I like the feel of the world, and hopefully that this game gets a little bit better of a plot going. I also hope they do a better job of sort of integrating the combat into the story, because in the first game, most of the combat situations could be either completely avoided, or like the boss battles could kind of be just gotten through really easy by just smashing the Doomstones like right off the bat. Which I realized they did that for people who maybe picked a non-combat life and hadn't, gotten any of the licenses to actually have a better combat role. But I feel like there's a better way for them to do that and still integrate some worthwhile fights into the story itself, instead of putting all the good boss battles and good fights as side activities. When speaking of side quests and stuff, that's another thing that I hope gets improved a little bit in this one. Since the first game had an absolute shit ton of stuff for you to do, which was great, but most of the side quests, or really pretty much all the side quests, boil down to either fetch quests or kill X number of a certain enemy. And I was hoping for a little bit more depth out of that, so maybe we can get that this time, where the side quests have a little bit more meat on the bones. But yeah, overall, I'm really excited for this. I hope this turns out well. I thought the trailer they showed looked good visually. It looked great. It sort of has that. Not exactly, but it's sort of like the toy-esque looking art style, kind of similar to Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl or the Link's Awakening remake. So I like the visuals of it. I'm interested to see where they go with it. I'm glad that we're finally getting something from this series again, because it was something that we weren't really sure if they were ever going to make another game of or not. So overall, I am looking forward to this. Hopefully it turns out well and manages to improve on some of the weak points from the first game, while maintaining all the things that the first game did right, like the tone and the humor and the crafting systems and the gathering systems and sort of the mini games for that sort of stuff. Your wood cutting, your mining, your fishing, all that sort of stuff. They absolutely nailed that in the first game. Fantasy Life might have the absolute best fishing minigame of any game I've ever played. So hopefully they keep all that pretty much the same. We did see a brief glimpse of someone doing the cooking minigame in this trailer, and it does seem to be very similar. So yeah, I hope it manages to retain all the good points from the first game while improving upon the shortcomings at the same time. But anyway, I guess that's all I got to say. So lots of luck to you and yours.